that moment when you realize you have mastered your wellness. When you've become so resilient, you can conquer any hiccup life throws you. Yeah, well, me either. But I still ride unicorns. I'll teach you how to become a mindset master. You will learn how your habits and behavior affect your success in nutrition, exercise, relationships, organization, and so much more. It's your reality, and you need to do it your way. Self-care and self-love are anything but selfish. Take charge. Get excited. If not now, then when? Grab your espresso and get ready to talk all things wellness. It's time for Coach, Couch, and Coffee Radio with Coach Peggyis right now. Hey, you guys, I'm just sitting here jamming to my little intro music that sped up and slowed down. I just love it. So, hey, listen, welcome to Coach, Couch, and Coffee Radio here on Transformation Talk Radio. Oh my gosh, it's a new day. It's Monday night, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. We are going to talk about a really cool subject tonight that I'm having nightmares about still. I've been doing this for more than a minute. It's still bugging me, so we're going to chat about it. But I wanted to let you know we get together on coffee time for those of you driving around or just listening to the podcast. And I always say, I have my coffee mug, my unicorn coffee mug, and I always say in my intro that everything's tough in wellness, right? We don't have it all figured out. But I still ride unicorns. I say that not to be like, everything's wonderful, but you guys have to find the positive side of life at some point in time, or we would be all in a corner rocking back and forth, depressed every day of our lives. So I want you to think about this exercise sucks topic that we're going to chat about today. Try to spin it in a positive way. It is a tough subject. I do not have it mastered. I do not. Transparent. Just saying. So here we are. This is part 1 today. Part 2, I'm going to extend it next week. So yay, we get to chat about this a lot. Last week's show, I had Jan Malik on, and we talked about exercise as we age and how super important it is to stay mobile and all those fun things. So we talked about it then. Then I was still thinking about it. So I wrote a blog about it. You can catch that on my website. Kat always puts my website up, 3 Wellness Pillars. So I wrote a blog about exercise sucks, which today, when we go over some of the questions that I'm going to give you to think about, they are written on there. So you can always go back to the blog and you can go through the questions. You can always re-listen to today's show to go through the questions. So I just want to provoke some thinking today, really. So if you're watching this live, just think about it, close your eyes, work through it, and you can always go back and answer the questions, which please do. I work through this stuff with all my clients one-on-one, and man, with my industry, it's never going to be solved. So it's like the oddest job security job. Like I really want to do a great, I get up every day wanting to change lives and help people, and they always change my life by me helping them. But it really is one of those things that we'll never master. And so it's kind of weird in the sense that it's never going to go away because we're human beings and we haven't got it mastered. I guess master is my word today, master of the master. So let's talk today about exercise sucks. So listen, I want to give you a little bit of a backstory. And I don't think I've ever in public for sure gone into this level of detail about my personal history. I've done bits and pieces of it. Definitely. But I want to give you some back history so that you can see that I really understand where you're coming from. I really understand when it's hard to get motivated and get off the couch and how exercise changes in our lives depending on what happens, what comes up, whether you're sick or injured or huge project at work. But I want you to understand that I totally get it. And I come from an era where PE, physical education classes, it was mandatory. It wasn't optional. When my kids were going to school, it started to become optional. And then it went away. I remember I was working for a high school in Grand Junction, Colorado, working with some overweight teens and who had body issues and stuff. And I remember going to the staff when they were getting ready to rule out and not have PE anymore. I said, here we go. We're going to be in trouble. And so in my day, it was like, hopefully you guys are at my age. You'll remember this and support me. We were told all the time, a million times, get outside, go outside and play. So we were outside. And we also always played sports, right? We were outside playing, building forts, and we were playing sports. Whether you were good at it or not, most people were playing sports. Today, though, I want you to think about, I'm not just doing this exercise topic because of one specific generation. I'm not. I have clients from 70 to in the teens right now. And I can tell you my post-millennials, my Gen Zs are struggling fitting into exercise as much as my 70-year-olds. So this topic really is about absolutely every single one of us. Okay, Peggy, so why is this a struggle? Well, if I was Jesus or the universe, I'd have all the answers for you. But, sip of the coffee here. The main thing I want you to realize is that you have the answers. That's what's going to be eye-opening today, is that often I need to dig some of these answers out because we don't take the time to just sit around and go, oh my gosh, I have the answers. Let's sit down and figure this out. So I have to pull it out of you. But here's my backdrop for me. So I grew up with lots of sports, been involved in swimming since I was little, played all the sports, super busy. Quite frankly, got addicted to exercise in the sense I loved how it made me feel. I loved the camaraderie, the team environment, how, the championship feel when you win championship state softball, 1982, Groveton High School, go team. Yeah, that was me. Good times, shortstop, loved it. Okay, so I was active in school. Active, went into competing and personal training and this whole industry that I've hovered in, blessed to hover in. But you guys, I never ever thought for 1 second of one day that I would never be able to not exercise, that something would be taken away from me. Never dawned on me. And in 2011, 2012, I had back-to-back car accidents, which I'd like to go on the record stating neither one was my fault. Irrelevant. So I had those car accidents and I had some serious injuries to my neck mostly and lower back. And it took away my ability to coach people safely. It took it away. I couldn't support. There was no way I could have a guy rack 400 pounds and be able to support him on any bench press ever again. So I had to, after 25 years, stop personally training others. And it took away a lot from me. So not just my career, my second income, or sometimes it was my first income back in the day. It took away that. It took away, not only helping people in a paycheck, it took away my motivation because I was going through a lot of medical stuff. And it took away the ability to have built into my life, strategically into my life, the have to. Well, I have to go to the gym. I'm training Sally, and after I train her, I'm going to work out. Or I'm teaching pump class tonight, and so I've got my workout in there. And so my approval to build that time for me to exercise in my life was my paycheck, was my addiction to it. And it was gone. It was all gone. So honestly, it took, this happened, 5-7 years ago. So it took probably the last 3 years that I have really had to try to figure out how the rest of my clients live in this world with how do you motivate yourself? How do you get off the couch? How do you go to the gym by yourself? How do you do that intensity, the frequency, the duration, what kind of music? And it has sucked. I'm saying that on air. Can I say that on air? I did. It's not fun. So today, what I want to just do is start off by saying to you, I get you. I know where you are, but I had the answers and I know you have the answers. I had to be my own client and pull this out, and that's what we're going to do. So 2 things happened for me. Number 1, I realized that I had to get addicted again to the outcome of why I exercised. Not the during, not the have to, not the, the study that said, oh, this many Americans aren't working out, or you need to because you're going to have heart disease. I had to stop listening to that because it wasn't working for me. It wasn't getting me off the couch. Wasn't making me positive and ride unicorns. So I had to let go of all of that. And I had to get to the place where I looked at the outcome, where when I did yoga or swam, I felt blank. I had to stop doing Zumba. I had to stop doing a lot of things, lifting the way I did. So I got addicted to the outcome. I feel better. I sleep better. I'm less grumpy. You guys out there, you know that. You moms know that you exercise regularly, you're less grumpy. I knew that my joints were happier. I was less sore. My strength was coming back. So that was the number one thing I learned. I had to get addicted to the outcome. The second thing is I had to not just have an accountability team, but this year, the second part of that, the more in-depth part of that I had to learn about myself is, yes, it's lovely to have an accountability team to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to swim 3 times this week or walk 3 times a week. Can I tell you, Lori, that I did? Send a check mark to her on my phone that I did it. That's nice. That's lovely. It wasn't that for me. I'd be honest, but I was like, yeah, so there we go. To-do list. Who cares? What I had to do is to receive permission, which sounds crazy. I get it. But I'm a workaholic because I love what I do, and it doesn't seem like work to me. So to take time out of my day when I didn't have to, and I wasn't receiving a paycheck to train or to help others, and I was now trying to get addicted to the outcome of how I felt, I would not allow myself to have the time each day to get up away from what I do for all you guys and go out and do blank. It almost stopped. Like I would go a week and a half, 2 weeks without even going for a walk. So this year I had a mentor that I'm working with, and she gave me permission that just said, get out there and do this. So you have to do this. This is how many days you're going to do it. And I don't care the way you do it, how long you do it, and report back to me. And it was different. So let's go through this stuff today. I want to have there's 13 steps of this. I'm going to take you through. I want you to listen today. Some of you watching live, just watch and listen. If you can grab a pen, whatever, go through it. But I'd like you to come back and try it again on your own and really work through it. It might only take you 15 minutes, and sometimes it might take 2 or 3, 4 weeks with my clients to try to figure some of this out. But the point is, please think about this. You really do have the answers. When I'm coaching, and I coach virtually now, unless I'm speaking to people or whatever in a setting. But I coach virtually, so I get to see your lovely little faces through Zoom. So when I am looking at my clients, I often, when they're circling around and they're starting to solve their own problems, I'll take my pen and I'll usually, because I keep charts and a client chart, and I'm always writing stuff down. But I'll take my pen usually and put it up to my lips and just force myself to be quiet and listen, or I'll kind of pinch my lips sometimes, because I'll notice that the client is coming all the way around their story. They're reciting it out loud. They're doing the I probably shoulds, I know I shoulds, and they're starting to come up with a little bit of a solution. And so if I sit and listen, they say it. They lay it out. Beautifully. I couldn't have done it better because they know themselves better than even I do. Even though sometimes I can see it before they do, which I love that because they think I'm this medium and I'm not. I just see it. I love that part. So let's just work through some of this stuff. We have to dig deep. That's the yucky part. And you have to spend time with yourself. Ew. Yuck, gross sometimes, but just go off and have some coffee. Maybe you go through a couple of questions over the next week, but I just really want you to think about how you're thinking with the brain and how you're feeling with your heart or your body symptoms while you're going through this. I wore a shirt for you guys today, a little workout shirt, because we were talking about working out. So it says inspiration, determination, and motivation. So let's be inspired, determined, and motivate here. All right, so you're an expert. Ready? Ready to talk about this? So 13 steps. Here we go. Rub your hands together. Get your pen ready. 13 steps. So the first thing I want you to think about is exactly how you think again, or feel about exercise in general. So that means maybe an example might be, ugh, I hate it. It sucks. Or it might be, I get too tired or I get too sore. So you're going to write down literally the first thing, number one, what you think about it and what you feel about it. And remember, those could be two different things. So some of you might actually have two parts to those, answers kind of to these questions. So first one, think or feel about exercise. I always think that it's hard to get started. It's just like, ugh, right? All right, number two, what do you think or feel about when you're preparing to exercise? So it's different than what you think or feel about the subject of exercise. This part I want you to think about you're getting ready to. So even for those of you who have little tricks now in your toy box that you've learned over the years of, say, for instance, you lay out your clothes the night before, you put your gym bag by the front door. I actually have had some people I've worked with in Extreme Weight Loss, the TV show Extreme Weight Loss, a boot camp that we had at a university. And there were many times that the boot campers would actually wear their exercise clothes to bed that night so that they were dressed and ready to go. It was one of the tricks of the trade with those groups. So how are you thinking and feeling about preparing, getting ready? Yay. Ugh. Whatever. I have to. I want to give a disclaimer here first before you keep going. There are people who love exercise, are addicted to it, love it, have no problem with exercise. Okay? Absolutely. And I was in that group too. But I want you to recognize there are different things in life that steer us off the track, throw us off the wellness wagon. And when that happens, it can shift your relationship with exercise, like what happened to me. So we have this group of people who do a great job exercising and can stay on plan. Even easier sometimes than a diet, they stay on plan. But most of us, most people in what I have experienced can do a juice diet. They can do all this restrictive eating, way easier, more long-term than setting exercise habits in place. Seen it? So I'm not just setting this up saying that for those people who go, I love exercise, that you can't play along. I really want you to play along because at some point in time, these questions are going to mean something to you. So I want you to keep these in your hip pocket. You too are not going to be immune to this fun stuff. Okay, so the next one. Number 3, I want you to think about the differences on how you feel about the differences or the feelings, thoughts and feelings you have about the differences of different types of exercise. So for instance, there are a lot of you out there, I work with chronotypes, so biorhythms, sleep cycles. And so that puts people in different categories based off of what their sleep patterns are, their characteristics. I'm going somewhere with this. My examples are my bears love people, love to do group exercise, all those groupie kind of things. Whereas some of my dolphins or my other groups don't have a problem exercising on their own, hopping on a treadmill, doing those things all on their own. So I want you to just really think about number 3 again, or what are your thoughts and feelings about different types of exercise? Okay? You might write down Zumba, love it. Treadmill, hate it. Okay? Yes. Number 4, what are you thinking and feeling about while you exercise? I don't know if you guys have really thought about that outside of when you're exercising. So there's the runner's high. We all get that. If you've had that, you're running along and you're like, yeah, and it kind of kicks in. You head into second gear, third gear, and you're like, man, why don't I do this all the time? This feels so great. So there's some of us who've experienced the runner's high. And if you've not ever had exercise as part of your life, hey, no judgment here. Does not mean you're a bad girl, bad boy. Lots of times it's just your history, what you've been exposed to, what you haven't. I don't care if you've sat on the couch for your whole entire life. I still want you to listen to this. So think about when you're exercising or moving, maybe even it's just squats up off the couch. Are you thinking about my heart's racing? I can't stand sweating. I need music blaring. What are you thinking about? What am I thinking about usually? Since my accidents, I was always hyper conscious of how I felt. Oh, this hurts my neck. Giving up Zumba, you guys, was like I had to have a burial. I literally had to have a burial because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I can't do Zumba anymore. But can't do that overhead stuff. You ready for number 5? 5. Okay. What are you thinking about during or after you exercise? I know the answer to this for probably 90. What are you thinking about when you're all done and feeling when you're all done? I'll tell you mine, which might be yours. I'm always like, what is my problem? Why don't I do this all the time? Nobody ever regrets it. I've never heard ever anybody say, oh, I regret that hour of lifting at the gym. Nobody ever regrets it. I regret going for that walk. So tell me what you're thinking about after, what you're feeling after you're all done. So that was question number 5. What we're going to do, so remember I said there's 13, lucky number 13 for some of you. I'm obviously not going to be done by the time we hit our commercial time. What I'm going to do though, after we hit commercial here in a few minutes, is I'm going to come back for what I usually call the after party. So after the 30-minute show, I always come back, answer some questions from my clients, maybe some other thoughts I have about what we chatted about. So when I come back, I'm going to give you the rest of these so you have all 13 today. So when you listen back to it on YouTube or whatever, you'll have all 13. So don't feel like I'm not going to get to all of them today. Okay. Number 6. I want to know what your knowledge is. You have to you have to finally really sit down and write down what you know, because we know so much today. I'm telling you, peeps, the stuff we know, we're experts. If we really applied everything we know, you wouldn't need me. You wouldn't need a trainer. You wouldn't need all the equipment that you have at home. You know what the studies are, the white papers are. Most of you know how to somewhat do your ranges of motion, how to modify your activity. You know who to go to if you do have a question. Half of you could go through your own physical therapy. You got YouTube, So what I want you to do is to write down really what do you know? Do you know the health benefits? Do you know what it does to your endorphins? So the longer that list is, I want it long. I want you to go into something if you know a percentage of the population that works out and doesn't. Because according to the CDC, only 23% of Americans hit that 30-minute mark 5 days a week. So what do you know? Because there's a reason that I'm going to have you do that. You will see. So write it down. Write it down. I'm going to give you one more before we head into commercial. So what is the average length of time? This is probably one of the biggest questions that you're going to see is going to help us. What is the average length of time in days, weeks, months, whatever it is, that you stick to your activity plan? That if you say you're going to walk 3 days a week, are you only able to do that for 1 week and you're like, screw that? Are you able to do it for a month? Are you able to walk every day for 3 days? I need you to really think about that. Now, recognize that each exercise could be different. So you might be able to go to the gym for a longer period of time than you're able to walk outside. You need to figure that out. So I have my categories. If I were to go to the gym and do cardio on my own, I'm not going to do it as long as if I was swimming. It isn't going to happen. I can do that for a very, very long period of time and stay consistent. So think about it. Average length of time in days, weeks, or months that you're able to stay active. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to commercial. When you come back, I'm going to explain to you, I've got holiday series coming up. One of them starts Wednesday. So if you haven't grabbed your spot, you need to email me at CoachPeggy@3wellnesspillars.com. When we come back, I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about them. And I'd really like you to head on over to my YouTube channel at 3 Wellness Pillars. You can find it with my name, Peggy Wilms, 2 L's. And subscribe to my YouTube channel because all of my shows are uploaded there. You wouldn't have to search through Facebook, and you can go to my YouTube channel. Or you can go to Transformation Talk Radio and find all my podcasts there. But if you head over to YouTube, you can find a bunch of fun stuff, videos. So read this blog, yes, on my website. Kat always has up my stuff. La, la, la. You're going to see my blog on there. That has these 13 questions on there. So we're going to go to commercial. When we come back, I'll hit the rest of these questions for you. And do not forget, next week, when we come back on Monday, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, we're going to go through what in the heck are we going to do, part 2, with all this information we're talking about today. Exercise sucks. I know, I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to say everything's awesome. Everything's awesome. But there's some reality to this. So we're going to rewire it, and I'm going to see you back here in just a few minutes. And then next week I'll see you because help is here, you guys. So I'll talk to you really soon. You are listening to Coach Couch and Coffee Radio with Coach Peggy. See you soon. Thank you for listening to Coach Couch and Coffee Radio with me, Coach Peggy Wellns. Did you hear something that made you go, or have an aha moment? I live for those. If not, we will get you next time. I will be back every first and third Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific. The tough love you to become smarter, stronger, braver, healthier, and happier. Duh. I will be back with a barrel of positivity, and you never know when a guest might pop in. There is no time for excuses. So don't forget to bring your coffee and an open mind as we talk all things wellness on Coach Couch and Coffee Radio with me, Coach Peggy Wellns. Now go grab a ray of sunshine.